Good afternoon, traders. Hope we all had a fantastic weekend and we've really sat back and unwound a bit. It's been pretty miserable weather down here actually the last couple of days, especially on a Sunday. So we were stuck inside most of the day, which wasn't too bad. It's good just to sit back and relax with the family. Um, yeah, and welcome to the live stream for what have we got? The 20th of the 2nd, 2017. So um, a bit of, we'll just go over the usual. For anyone that's new, is watching the stream for the first time, welcome to TradeSetup. You can join us in Twitter, which you can see in the top left-hand corner of the screen there. Join us on Facebook, and you can subscribe to us on YouTube. YouTube channels down the bottom right-hand corner, and that way you get an automatic alert every time we actually go live. If you like what you see, you're enjoying the actual streams, you can leave us a like at the end of the video, or leave us a comment if you like. If there's any questions you may have on what we've been discussing, or you have a few issues with what we've been discussing, yeah, feel free to leave a comment in there, and we'll endeavour to get back to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, you can send us feel free to send us an email to support@tradesetup.com.au. We've got our general advice warning there. So you can see on the screen there, we don't give personal advice like we say. So anything we do discuss is just really opinions that we have and what we view on the market. So, well, let's get into it. So today we're just going to we'll go over a couple of things. Obviously the ASX, what we see on there, and some stocks we see could be heating up. And the market is down a bit today, which I think in the course of things is probably not, it should be expected a bit. We'll just go through a bit of a view on the ASX, and we'll go through a few other markets. We're going to take a look at some currencies as well, just go over a few of those. Just the majors really, probably just the Aussie, the Euro, might look at the pound. Look at where the S&P and what's that, that's a broader index in the US, what that's doing. Now, obviously on Friday, you probably all know by now, new highs again. The market really didn't kick off too well, kicked off, it was down a bit. I think it wasn't looking too great. But then buying started coming in through the session towards the end of the session, and it ended up with some more fresh new highs, especially in the Dow. I think the S&P hit fresh new highs as well. So they're all, although it's not kicking along strong, which would probably be expected considering the run it's had, it's still going. There's still buying during the session, whether it's just intraday buying, and then selling to the close. Finish on the highs, who knows, and they repeat the next day. But yeah, it's still going strong. Let's get into it. Let's just minimize the screen. So ASX is down 24 at the moment. It is a bit of a pullback from that. We just took out those highs, and we haven't finished above, we're talking about 58.27 highs. I would like to have seen it on a daily basis finish above that. But really, there is nothing at all wrong with this price structure. It is getting a bit stretched into that zone. It got a bit stretched. We spoke about the last few days. But all in all, it's looking good. We've had that major, this is a weekly anchor level, it's 50-50, and that's produced that major leg up there. We had a good correction off 58, which we discussed. We had that washout, which we expected, and it's really played out beautifully, and we've just extended back up into just above 58. Didn't close above the high, so I'm guessing this down day is probably just taking a bit of heat out the market, especially we are a bit extended up there. It'd be interesting to see how we go now, whether we just sort of, we might just consolidate, down day, up day, down day, up day, and just sort of ease our way off as, and you'll see a bit of heat coming out of that market then, and we start holding another high low and then punch up through 58.50, say, take out these highs at 27 and go through 58.50 on our way to 6,000. We'll see how that goes. I'm still relatively bullish on this market. It's not, there's nothing to say that it's going to roll over just at the moment. One down day doesn't do anything at the moment. So we'll just go with the flow, as we say, and just see how this all plays out. One thing I without getting too sidetracked, I know everyone has different views, and generally, we've probably discussed this in the past too. Generally, by nature, you tend to be a bit of a bull or a bear of some sort. I'm probably more conservative on things, so I'm always looking for what's going to go wrong. What's going to happen. Don't get announced. It's getting a bit extended. But what I've learned in the past and over the years, I guess, is it's probably not the right thing to say, but sitting on the fence is not a bad thing. Just practicing on the fence, try to keep away from being and by that I don't mean not picking a direction. By that I mean going with the flow, going with what you see. not trying to put your own biases into the market. I don't know what everyone else thinks, but I'm a big sort of fan of just, I like to reassess the market, especially, and this is why it's actually doing these streams is good for me too. Is just to reassess the market day by day and just take a look at it with fresh eyes. Maybe after the weekend, you haven't really thought much. I mean, I think about it anyway, about the markets, but just coming in on Monday, looking at it with fresh eyes and say, okay, have I missed something from the last few weeks, or is it looking the same to me? Should I be biased a bit different? Should I change my analysis? Should I be weighted a different direction? Should I tighten things up a bit? All these questions just going through your head. It just keeps you looking from a neutral stance as opposed to getting swayed by just all of the news. I mean, we've got so many different price feeds, not price feeds, but news feeds now. You got it on Twitter. Everyone's got an opinion on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Um, and you can tend to get swayed quite easily. You pick something that makes sense, but don't forget every news article is missing out on some key facts that could sway it the other way all the time. And that's just basically news. So really, it's just sitting back and I look at the charts, do your own reading if you're a fundamentalist. You know what? And I like to follow the macro picture. I find that a lot easier than drilling down, especially with companies. I like to follow the macro picture on the ASX. Sorry, not the ASX, the global picture, and just have opinion of the ASX and then pick my stocks from there. More likely than not on a technical basis. But I guess what I'm trying to say is just, yeah, not letting a personal opinion or anything like that. So I'm just going to flick it over now. Sway what you're seeing and just try to really view the market for what it is and see, just watch. So I'm just changing over the screens there and just trying to, keep yourself neutral so you're not really going to miss any opportunities. If the market looks like it's building a base, like say it was back here, maybe any new longs, you just hold off and you get more confirmation. We've got that washout, then a breakthrough here. Okay, then start buying in some quality setups again and away we go. Up here, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. It could be worth just tightening up the reins a bit. I don't mind just tightening things up a bit. And again, this is off the ASX. If we're looking at our own individual stock holdings that we've got, any of our positions, if you obviously you're tightening up with regards to that position only. I mean, this could easily tip over. The ASX could tip over, and your stocks that you got are quite good quality, whatever. They're not going to roll over, so you don't tighten up too much where you're going to get nabbed on it. But yeah, it's just I guess horses for courses. So I've just thought I'd pop that in because I've been reading. There's just a few articles popping up. I was on Twitter. I saw something that we're heading over a cliff, about the nut, and there's just all these things coming out time and time again. And like I said, these bears try not to be a bull or a bear, but try to sit on the fence. If you're these raging bears will turn around in 6 months' time and say, "See, I'm right." The problem is, what have they done for 6 months? Why the market keeps going up? So, you just want to make the best use of your money. You want to trade the best way you can, trade what you see, so you're not left if you turn out to be a bear. Say it was around here when we were talking about this market around here. You think this is going to roll over, you get out of your positions. MAs are down, and then the market's gone without you. Then you're just wasting your time. And the same here. If you think, oh, cut out here, and then this thing pulls back, makes a high low, and then goes again, and you go straight to 6,000. Again, you're not making the best use of your capital. So something to think about, guys. If I'm ranting a bit, just feel free to leave a nice comment in there in the chat. Anyway, does that make sense there, guys? Anyone disagree, or is anyone sort of finding that they are swayed more one way than the other? Just while I have a sip of my coffee and while we all catch up. So we'll just take a look at a few stocks now. If anyone's may or may not have a few comments there. But anyway, what we'll do now, just going to take a look at some. Well, firstly, actually, let's go to the actual underlying. Just look at the ASX on a chart. What we see potentially happening. Now, like I said, this is a 30-minute chart. Yeah, the market's still strong. I mean, the key anchor levels down here. We're all the way down at 57, 53 at the moment. There's only 30 points from where we are probably currently. And don't forget, this is just the CFD, so similar price structure, same price structure, but not not ideally exactly the same prices. So just do your own analysis there. But we've got, from looking at this, we've got a key level at 57.53. Now, if that does roll over, it looks like it is starting to get a bit heavy at the moment, but there's nothing to say we just do a mild pullback. We hold some high lows in here, and the buyer starts stepping in because it is overextended down here at current levels, overextended to the downside. Actually, if we take a look at the ASX, the actual index, let's just take a look at the 30-minute as well, see what that's showing. So it's the same type of scenario. And again, the same type of price structure you've got. It's roughly around at 50. So what's that low there? 57.55. So that's the key level where it's really holding this leg up and holding all these the latest buyers. If you're buying in around this zone, you're still up. It is starting to look like we're holding a few lower highs, but again, it's nothing too, well, for me, I don't see it concerning at all until we break this anchor. I mean, the anchor levels, first and foremost, is at your key level. If that breaks, then you could have a bit of a problem. But at the moment, we haven't broken it. It's still way down at 57.53 thereabouts. We just could be contracting. So this type of price action, as we get a bit heavy up the top and we get a bit extended from these, this move down at 55, say 5600. Get a bit extended there. There's always a few people profit taking, but like I said, this could just be contracting in. We could hold a higher low above this anchor. We build a new anchor and we take out these highs, head our way back up to 6,000. Like I said, take out 58, was it 58.27? Don't know, we went a different high there. 58.27 through 58.50 and on we go. So until that anchor breaks, then I don't think, and then only then we could, if you go back to the daily, like I said, flick it back. It doesn't really mean anything anyway, because that daily, really, if we take out that, it's just a half an hour chart we're looking at. It's that key level there, 57, say 57.50. Just get in there a bit more. So that's the key level. If we break that on the half an hour chart, it doesn't matter too much. Maybe just mean a longer term contraction on the daily. We may make some lower lows. We may push down to test that, that breakout zone just here after we took out that high, 57.20 thereabouts, which is only another 30 points down. So it's not too big a deal on the daily. You don't really want to get through that 5600. So there's still a bit of room to move. And like I said, I'm expecting more than anything. If that half an hour can't hold up, I'm expecting more a down day than maybe a positive day, but still hold below the previous day lows and then take out the previous day's lows next day on a down day and then up down. So just a bit like this sort of action, green candle, red candle, red candle, green candle, that's not conducive of a very negative market at all. If we get that and we hold up above 57, 57.25, roughly in that zone, that's a major high or low on the week on the daily, and then off we go again. You'd expect anyway. But still on that half an hour chart, there's nothing saying that we can't just kick up. All right, so if that's making sense there, and you can see, that move's getting extended. So we'll just have to see how we go, but just draw this in now. So whether we just pop back up, make another lower high, and then take out the lows, we don't know what's going to happen. But if we see it push through and then get this type of price action, then I'm expecting a deeper correction, and then we'll just have to see how it all plays out. But if not, if we're going to hold up that anchor and the half an hour chart's going to look quite, we might just pop up a bit from here. We may just come down and retest and start holding some higher lows at that type of price action. We build that major high low here, and then we start heading our way back up through 6,000 and beyond. Oh, sorry, up towards 6,000 anyway at the first stop. We'll have to see how we go there, but that could be more of a decent high low on the half an hour chart if that's going to hold above that 58.50 zone. Anyway, let's take a look at the S&P before we get too far into it. The S&P, we've been following this for a while. I don't know if anyone's getting those alerts and had a look at that. We were expecting at this stage a short squeeze. There was just a fair few shorts from the indicators we look at. A fair few shorts. Tongue twister today. Fair few shorts piled in there. So in looking at that and just looking at this price action like I think we were discussing the other day, big washout. Generally, you get a washout in the high low. You know that there's going to be some pressure on the shorts. And with everything that's happened in the US and the positivity around, and just people are going to keep going until there's some sort of tax cuts or they don't play out as good as expected. But generally, there's no even a fundamental reason over in the US for this US market to roll over, to be profit taking. So I think most of these little dips are getting bought up. We had that good run up. It looks like it's just broken as of Friday, but There's nothing to say this 23.39 is not going to hold. We hold a high low here and then punch up through. Well, you can see that we did back off here and then we just punched up through. So you'd expect if that's going to be decent contraction, we might have held. Oh, let's just draw it up. Here we go. We should have sort of pulled back off that, that resistance zone roughly around 23.47 or so, and then maybe build some lower highs and just have a better correction. But the fact that it didn't get too far at 23.39 and got bought up again, I don't expect this type of price action at the moment. We've popped up here. I'm expecting it really to target 23.53 tonight and just continue on. We'll see how it all goes. But either way, we could just go sideways from here, just hold between 23.53 and 23.39. We may make a double top. We don't know just yet. But really, this market's quite positive. It's extended to the upside, and we haven't quite reached there. So that I wouldn't be surprised if we touch on 23.53 and maybe make a deeper correction. But we'll just have to see how it goes. At the moment, there's nothing to say that that's going to roll over just yet either. And don't forget, this is only the half an hour chart. Hourly chart. Let's just skip that. Just go and have a quick look at the daily. Is that making sense? Anyone on the daily that's looking a bit, it is getting a bit stretched up there, and anyone could see that. So maybe on a daily we just have a deeper correction. We could head anywhere, 23.20, we don't know. We might just correct back down there and then start building that higher low on the daily, and then off we go again. But there has definitely been some shorts squeezed out there, and I don't think there's any maybe there's a few new shorts jumping in now, and they might be squeezed out again on the half an hour on the lower time frame charts, but we'll see how it goes. It's something to definitely keep an eye on. They can, like I said, they can stay overbought for quite a while. Overbought here, continue to get a bit more overbought as we picked up. Minor pullback, heavy selling come in, but it was soaked up quite hard. Again, went overbought, quite strong. This higher low was in with heavy selling too, soaked up again. The same thing could happen. We could have heavy selling go all the way over, down to oversold territory, or even at 50% on the stochastic. That's showing that the sellers are really coming in, a bit of force, bit of pressure, but it's getting soaked up quite easily. So with all the positivity over there in the US, we'll see how it goes. All right, the Aussie, just quickly, we're looking for a squeeze on the Aussie too. It did pop out, and we were looking at around this stage here. It did pop up through a little resistance zone, but more of just a washout, and it's heading lower. The longer, and that's in the data. We're looking at that on this hourly chart. About that stage, looking for a bit of a short squeeze in here. It was looking good, and it did pop up, washed out that high, only mildly, and then really just roll over. And you can see there was a good chance it was going to do that as we were getting a bit overextended up there. But in respect to all the longer term price structure, it's still looking this, you've had a leg up here, consolidation, a bit of contraction in here, pushed down, held 75.20 zone, built some higher lows. We had another leg up here. If we can do that, actually, I'll just draw it in a different color. So you've had that leg up there. We've had another leg potentially up to here just as we get contraction, but there's nothing to say we're not going to get another one. All right, so the key level now is at 76.09, 76.10 to hold. There would still be the short interest in this on the Aussie too is quite high, so that's why we don't mind it for a bit of a short squeeze, a bit of contraction here. If we start holding around these zones here and start building some higher lows, say a bit like this structure, and then start punching through some key levels on the upside, then I think the squeeze is going to be on again, and we might get, if we just draw that up, this is just all because we don't know what's going to happen just yet, but if that's going to be the low, then we could be punching straight up through 77.55 roughly. But we'll have to see how that goes. It's not over until we get through, that trend is not over until we punch through 76.10 on the Aussie anyway. So that short squeeze is still potentially going to play out. Euro looks more rangy than anything else. The market's head south, push back up. We've had a key level up here. That's 108.10, give or take. Pushed down, made some new lows, and this would be on the longer term daily basis. And we worked our ways off that lows, and we pushed all the way back up to 108.10 again. Retested a bit of a wash with those highs, and then headed south. So potentially, this is going to potentially work its way out to be a higher low. And you can see we're on a stretch to the downside there. This is the hourly chart. Stretch to the downside. Maybe a bit overextended on the downside when we push down here, and even here, you can see this move down here. We're not going to get anywhere near there by the looks of it, and that is breaking out. Once we broke up and out of this contraction lower, we broke up and out. You expect a bit of a pullback here. If we start holding some higher lows, this could take us straight up to 108.10, even through. We'll have to see how it goes, because in context of this overall price structure, we've got a major support here. We've come all the way back up to test the key anchor level, which is holding the major trend down. We backed off. We've washed out a few of these late shorts, so the short sellers in here. Sorry, the buyers in here. So we just washed them out with this push down, got them back on the sidelines, a bit of fuel on the sidelines, ready to potentially go back in again. They may be looking to re-enter. Anyone that's bought it in here is probably still safe just at this time. Maybe took some profits down with this move down here. Just washed out a key level at 106.25 with that move down. Punched back up. So really, I would like, if we're going to build for a move higher, don't mind if we see maybe some high and lows start holding, maybe a bit of a wash, and then it start to build and go. All right, does that make sense there, guys? So we want to, if we can get that type of price action, maybe a wash out of some lows, hold a higher low. Always look for, like I said, with the currencies tend to wash a lot. They wash and then go, wash and then go. So if they wash out that, like this, washed out the high and then bang. So looking for those lower, we took out that anchor here, built that lower high here, and then that's where you want to be ideally looking to trade a short sell if you're looking for a short off that zone. Again, it'll be the same type of scenario here. If we do get that pullback, build a lower high, and we may wash out that support zone with this little move down, and then punch through the key anchor level with this little move down, then look for that higher low just in here. I'll just draw that. Does that make sense there, guys? So that's ideally the way you probably want to attack the currencies. It's always a good way. So it just means that once you get that wash, you're not going to get caught in all that sort of mess. And if it does just keep going down and you're going for a long, then fine. But as soon as you get that punch up through and you take out this sort of a key lower high, then look for the shoulder. They tend to do that too. Pull back, you build that shoulder, and then they go. So that's, in overall context, that's what could be playing out here. Make a major higher low in here, and then go and push its way up to 108.10, even through at this stage, because that's going to become a major higher low with regards to this overall trend on the daily anyway. All right. Any questions or different opinions on that, what we just discussed there? All right, let's just going to take a quick look at some of the stocks we got. WBC, we took a partial off on that one at 33.95. So we're looking at, a trade up towards that 34 zone for a partial exit, and we got up to 33.97 today on the open. It pushed up there just after the open and then roll over, but it's back up there now, which is looking good. So that Westpac does look strong. The thing is, and this is what you've got to watch out for, obviously, what we're watching for is it's extended into that resistance zone. So whether what I'd ideally like to see, and we've said it before, you can get extended like we did through, stayed up there all the way through, and we put on, some 32.50 up to 34, so $1.50 roughly, and we're overextended this whole time on the daily. Could easily do that, could just wash it out and then just keep going. But we'll see. The weekly looks good. That weekly, it's the way it's gone the last couple of weeks, though, is quite strong. I wouldn't be surprised if we back off a bit and build a little higher low and then go and then punch up through 34. But just be on the lookout. If we do pop up through 34, I wouldn't be surprised if we just get a bit of a pullback and we hold those higher lows and then go. That's what we'd be looking for. But either way, we've taken a partial on that. Pretty much a riskless trade. I can't remember exactly where our stop is on that one, but I think it's just above break even. We got in at 32.50, so I think it's above there at the moment. But we'll see how that goes. I think it's 32.90 actually, just below this low, below 33, the even figure. We'll see if that can get up. Either way, it's a free trade now, so we'll see how that plays out. A2M, we took a partial on that one, and then it's just hanging around. That could pop up. What I wouldn't really like to see from here is after that big, good news and then bang, straight down. I don't really want to see it to retest 45 and then roll over, like it can do. See that candle there, just bang straight down. Had that bit of a run up, a bit of a spike up higher a couple of days, and then bang, took out some lows from a few days, washed a lot of people out, built that lower high in here, and then had a deeper correction. We'll be on the lookout for that. We've raised our stop as well on that one too. So I think the second half is locking in the gain as well, just to see. We just want to see how big a gain, big or small that gain is going to be. But that's looking good. AJM, we've got that from I think 18. It's pretty much doing nothing. It's holding these higher lows, and that structure looks good. The weekly could be putting a bit of pressure, and that's why it might be struggling up towards these zones. We'll have to see how that goes, but we just got to hang in there and see if we can punch up through and get that acceleration higher, potentially take a partial on that one. If not, so be it. We're not going to be risking too much on that. It's a smaller one as well anyway, but that can really start going when it wants to. AJX, we've got that. That's in at 71 here, way back here. It took a bit of heat there, hung in there by about 0.5%. Had our stop at 62. I think it got 62 and a half low a couple of days and then took off again up to 75. So it's looking good for a pop up through 75 and then maybe take out 75 and then take up through these highs at 76. That's looking 76 and a half. So that would be great. And then next port of call is really up towards that 90, up to that 90 resistance. So we'll just see how all that goes. The daily's coming off, and it's holding though, which is good. It's coming off a bit of an extended zone up there. Nothing to say we can't do this and then pop up with another, that last stitched effort higher. But we'll see how it goes. Still hanging in there, looking good. ALU, pretty much where we got in at the moment. It's at a TS. We'll have a look at that. TAS and EDE. Take a look at that. We'll just see how this goes. See if we can pop up through these highs again. What have we got? Highs at 865, and just see if we can keep going from there. What else we got? AMA, that closed out today at 106. We took a partial and then got stopped out on the rest. So handy little profit on those. MVP now. MVP today, we entered that at 535. We had an entry around 535, 540. The reason why it was a 5 cent up to 540 was purely because we're expecting an announcement on this. We didn't want it to, send it announce prior to the market open, and then people get in at say 570 or so on the gap up. It's the last thing you want to do. If it's going to gap up when you're watching it on the open, on the back of some good news, then you're better off just either, just looking for a re-entry, looking for an entry rather than just. I'm always a believer just looking for another entry. Probably going to be a bit of profit taking and buy if you can get that high low building again. But we'll just see how that one goes. It's got some good news. Just quickly, half-year results, revenue is up 34%, NPAT up 74%. Penthrox, which is a key drug they've been selling, pretty much released into different markets around the globe, up 108%. And they've got other sales up 142%. So really, there's nothing to say the good things there. Franked dividend of fully franked dividend 2 cents at the moment. I don't know exactly when the ex-div date is on that one, but it wouldn't actually. No, I don't know when the ex-div date is, but you can find that. All looking good, I think, for this one. The only thing I think that I didn't like too much was the Penthrox into the US. The outlook for that, I thought it was a lot closer than what that's showing there. They're getting into it, submitting and so on. I thought it was more waiting for approval than anything else. So that could weigh down a bit as a few people were jumping in waiting for that. But overall, if you're looking at it as a pure trade, that looks good. Got nothing wrong with that setup there. Punching up through 550 and on we go to test those highs. The supporting fundamentals have been great. They're really expanding sales around the globe. They're doing great. They're just doing everything they said. So we'll see how that goes. But keep an eye on that one there, guys. I think that one's got a lot of potential, especially, it's had a good run up. There's been a bit of heat coming out of that market. We've made some lower lows, lower highs, got held up there, broke out of that contraction lower with this it's a weekly, isn't it? Those couple of weeks up towards 550. We held above 5. We've retested a few times. We're holding higher lows on the daily. All that looks great. So that broke out of that contraction down, that couple of days high there. We've held above 5, which is great. That's looking like it's ready to go again. So just keep an eye on that. And with those fundamentals come out today, sometimes it can be, buy the rumor, sell the fact, but I think they've been hitting their targets. They've been doing quite well, and the big ones may be a long way off, but it's still to come out into the US. So if they keep improving sales around the globe, they're not going to go backwards. So it's looking good. So there's not much else. We've got SAS, which has done well. It's done well for us, looking good. We've gone over WC. So that's pretty much us and what we're holding at the moment. All looking good. We still don't mind the look of the ASX. I think it's pretty healthy what we're seeing today. A bit of a back off today, and then if the US doesn't, they kick on today, then we'll just see how they go. All right, let's take a look at TAS. Oh, sorry. I said TAS and I typed in EDE. EDE looks good. Let's just try that again. It's definitely looks good. This one's been on the watch list for a while. It's just I don't know what we did with this, to be honest. I don't know if we did have a bit of a play on this one. I'll just check it out. Has anyone got this? Have you got this? Is it Nandor? Have you got this one here yourself? EDU. No, we haven't done well on this one, to be honest. We've had two trades on it in the past. They're both last year, September and then November last year. Mainly in this, we expected a break and got washed out. Actually, I think one of them got washed out by a cent or half a cent, which is a bit of a bummer. Okay. Oh, great. EDE, we'll kick it off on that one. I guess there's not much to say about this one. It looks good. That's the daily basis there. The weekly, the only thing, this big run up. We had a massive run up, and it looks like it does this stock. This could be just a start, and it could be really kicking on. They've had some news today. Homeworks commenced evaluation. Eden Crete, Denver Public Works commences evaluation. Okay. So some good news could be driving this right up, and if this is anything to go by, this could have a lot of legs in it still. Could really kick on. So if you're looking to get in, just obviously just look for a setup that you like, that suits you. There's been some major work even after that push up through 2016. We saw that big kick up to 35. Actually, let's draw it up. No, I don't like that, do I? Don't like that, does it to me? Just try this. Alrighty. Come on. All right. So the good thing is it's done a lot of work. Pretty much the good part after having that run up the first start of 2016, and a lot of heat's coming out of that market, but it held the higher lows all the way up. Pretty much most of since about actually probably half of last year. I lie. So the 6 months of the year last year, it held those higher lows and it really built. It built nicely, and we just got that acceleration now, and we're just taken out as of a couple of days ago. Really took out those highs around 34 and a half, and today it's just trading up above there now. So I think that's looking good. It's looking to goods. The only thing for me, it's looking a bit stretched up there. I mean, it doesn't say too much. It could easily just stay stretched, and you can see the price action there when it was stretched up here. Just kicked on strong. There still could be a lot in that, and it looks like that's the past history. That's the way it trades. So we'll see how that goes. If it gets up through 36, I think it's just going to go on with it. It's probably not going to consolidate too much around here. It could just go pop straight up and through 36 and on we go. Definitely looking good. And on the weekly, if you go back to that weekly, there's not really, we have to step back. There's not really much, resistance in play there. Through 40 up to around 45, 44, 40, is that 45 highs? Yeah, 45 highs. So we might find a bit of resistance up there. So there could be a bit in that one. We'll just see how that plays out, but definitely looks good. What's the other one? TAS. Pretty much exactly the same. That chart looks ideally just the same. You've got that big push up through there. So, nothing wrong with that. The only thing for me, it's getting a bit extended up there, and that's probably the only one and only reason why I don't like it. There's nothing to say it can't keep going, and these are probably the ideal trades to chat about purely because times like this, do you buy it? Because it could go on. It's done a lot of work and consolidating there, and it could easily kick on. But for what I look for when markets are overstretched, do I want to get in a market that's stretched up here? Not necessarily. I'd rather see a bit of a pullback, wash out of some lower lows, lower highs like that, wash out, and then see those high lows build. And that's where I'd rather get in, to be honest. We'll have to see how that plays out, but definitely that's on the move as well. The same as EDE. They pretty much look identical, those two. Now looking good. Anything else for you guys? Anything else anyone's looking at? Which the market still down 24. Um, all right, let's just go through a few things that are moving while we're waiting. NWH, I know we've spoken about this before. We sent out alerts on it, but we didn't actually trade it as such. It was looking good up here. It's only really the last few days. You can see it's coming under a bit of pressure there. Actually, let's just draw that out. But either way, I mean that weekly into you. All right, we'll take a look at that. So NWH, I know. So I'm not sure if someone in here's had it. It could have a bit of room to move on the downside, but it's probably going to find a bit of. Well, let's just get rid of that and draw that up a bit differently. Good work, Paul. You can see it's done a bit of work up there. I mean, that's it popped up some lower highs and putting pressure on it, and it just capitulated in there. So there's probably a bit. And I know it's a wide range there, dollar to dollar 40, 50. But that's where it could push up into there, find a bit of resistance, and we might find a bit more selling up there. But this is on a weekly chart, so still could be a lot to go there. On the daily, just look at that there. You can see that it's holding some high lows. It could, and that's just those couple of days. It's just taking some heat out. You've had all this consolidation, held that high low, and then a few days it popped up. It wasn't with any too much strength on the upside there, but then we had this big down day. Really took out the previous day's highs, opened up above, and then bang straight down the last few days. So it's coming under a bit of pressure at the moment, but still it's holding. If we just drill that down, we'll take a look at BSL too there, Paul. I just want to see what's going on. I haven't looked at it for a while. If we look at the key levels on this one, well, you've got a nice key level at 50, and then you've got another one that's just being built at 67.50. So that may come under pressure. Either way, if it gets through that 67.50 or 67, then I think there's going to be a bit of pressure. We just could be, that's the leg up. We've had a leg up here. That may just be contracting that leg up. So that's the anchor really for this leg. If that breaks, then we've got a major anchor down here at 50. So we could just be contracting this current leg up, but it's not to be confirmed yet until we get through 67. So we have to see if it busts through 67, pots through 67, we might get that lower high build on a more major scale, and then a bit of then it's probably going to be a fair bit of time where this does a bit nothing, just really goes sideways. But we'll have to see how it all goes. Looks good. What was the other one there? We'll quickly look at BSL, and then we'll go to NTU. Actually, we'll do NTU first. First in, first serve. Oh, good. That's not the right code. I was going to say there's not much to look at there. 40 grand. Northern Minerals, yeah, very small, but really, that's the overall price action. It's done a lot of work. It's down on its lows. You've got a low, way back in 2010, mid 2010, and that produced a massive leg up to what was about 7.5 cents up to $1.10, $7.5, and then we sold off a good part of another 2 years It's been just selling off all the way down till mid 2013. Held, we were looking at holding a higher low there, popped up, retested, and then we've, because we didn't get through that low, just hit around, what's that low there? Say 10 cents. We held just above it, and then we just washed out these previous highs, and then we, turned around and head south all the way through probably the next year and a half, through 2015 into 2016. Pretty much retested this low wave from way back in 2010. In saying all that, that's the weekly. It's been pushing down. There's nothing to say that that weekly trend is not over, apart from the fact that it's down on its lows. All right, so if you go back down to the daily, you can see on that weekly through start of 2016, it's starting to lift. All right, so that's probably the key thing you want to keep an eye on. It's starting to lift, but really above 20 to 21, that's your anchor level for this trend down. So it may or may not be looking to build. It is looking. This last few weeks is looking great. I mean, to be honest, that's really nice price action. It's just that you might have a strong resistance level up towards 20, but in saying that, you've still got some fat in it around 13. We're just going to the daily chart. Look at that daily. If we get up through, say, 13, 14, then that price action is looking great. And even if you're targeting just up towards 20, that's, risk reward. That's quite good. You've got a cent and a half stop, and you probably potentially got 6 cent. Say you got 3 to 1 on that one there. So it is looking good. Whether this is the start of a new major leg higher, I don't know. We'll just have to see how it plays out. If it gets up through, say, 7.5, it's looking good. Up to 20, it's probably going to find a bit of resistance up there. If we just punch up through it, then so be it. It's looking good. But just remember, it has in the past washed out the high like we did here, with this high up to here on the 3rd of November, and then roll over from there. So it might just do that, wash out to 22.5, 23, and then roll over. We don't know. But if that's the case, it's just that last recent price action is looking good. And that's a major retest of from way back in 2010. It's got a fair few, insane on that, Nando, it's got a fair few resistance levels to get through, long-term resistance levels, but I don't know what they actually do in the way of what they've been coming out, the fundamental was, what their results are like, or what they're doing at the moment. But this most recent price action is looking good. It's lifted, had a bit of a pullback, washed out a few of these late buys in here, took them out, and that little push up there after that washout there of 11, that's ideal, and it's built a higher low. So really what we're looking for is there. It's showing some good signs. It's just got to kick up, probably even just getting through. If it trades 13.5, what do we offered 13? That could be worth it, but for me, it's quite small. I don't know what the volume it does, but we'll see how it goes. Paul, your BSL, awesome. No, it's looking good. Look at that, and the only thing I could say with this one, it's starting. You can see the volatility, or the buyers are getting a bit excited. You can see that because how do I explain it? The steepness of those moves up are getting a bit steeper, or the gradient, or whatever you want to see, mathematical term, the gradient of those, and you can see that it's getting a bit, and that's is a sort of a sign as where it's a bit of a blowout, and then you get things making a lower high, pulling back. But all in all, that is looking nice, and there was a key level way back. Oh, let's just draw it up. What have I got? I don't know. Is it the weekly? So this is a weekly, just remember. That level there, it's only a minor one, really. It's not the key level. The key level is way up at, around 18 bucks, I'd say. That's your key level because we had that contraction up, and then we sold off from there all the way back down to those lows around $2. We're up into a minor level, but it's just popped up through. I think it was probably this week, or maybe even today. High 1268. Let's go to the daily. Yeah, today. So it's just popped up there today. Where'd I go? Yeah, brilliant. There you go. Oh, I didn't even read those two. So that it's popped up above that resistance level. So we have to see it. The only thing is, it's getting extended up there. How long can we hold? It's not like I said, it's not a major level, so they could easily go up through it. It's just this. Actually, I'll draw it like this. You see these moves up. This is what you're looking for. They're getting a bit more vertical. Geez, that's bad, isn't it? You can see that it's getting more vertical just at this stage. Um, so that would suggest to me it's starting, it could start to run out of steam. These results too, if you're not going to buy it today, then we'll just have to see how they go. And expose it. Trump, Trumponomics. Yeah, Trump, yeah, good old Trumponomics. So yeah, there's nothing to say sell here. But for me, if I'm looking to buy, I'd be just waiting off here because it's up into a minor zone. Don't know what's going to happen. If it pops up through and I get this little pop up through, so if that's a level there, pop up through, I'd like to see, maybe a bit of a consolidation around that zone and then look for some higher lows. But, whoa, how did that happen? Then ideally I'd like to see those high lows hold for that move up through and take it, off a higher low, uh, considering they had some good results and considering what you're saying. But just buying it here, you don't know if it's just going to touch up like it has and just go bang all the way back down and have a deep correction, which it could easily could only just take it down to 950, $9. But either way, I don't want to be buying it here. It's going to push down to 9 and be underwater for the next few weeks. Does that make sense there? Well, I guess what I'm trying to say. If you're holding, good. I don't know how you're gonna tackle it there, Paul. But it's either way, it's looking great. Actually, let's go to the daily. I just want to see what that daily. Yeah, it just depends how you want to. It's looking good. That's depends what your view is too, I guess. You're saying ooh, ooh or okay. Morning, mate. G'day, Clement. How are you, mate? Let's take a look at it. KMD. It is looking good. Let's go to the weekly. Oh, this on the weekly looking good. Let's just draw that up. All right, let's draw that. So it's had this move up here, which is great. It's had a bit of a pullback, major push through, and that's really retested, within a few percent of that low retesting. Then what it's done, it's held a high low just through here at about 125, and it was in a sideways contraction there, tested down, and it does this time and time again. It looks like it pushes down and then bang, up she goes, straight through resistance level there, and it really didn't give it too much opportunity on that. This is a weekly, isn't it? If you go down to a daily, you probably find there is opportunity just in here to buy, even in here, um, especially after we got up through that resistance zone there. But it seems to do it time again. It pushes down, straight down into support zone, and then bang, up we go, and just take out some key levels. So it looks like it's in the midst of doing that at the moment. It'd be great. And you can see those higher lows are holding. So either way, actually, let's just get into a daily before I discuss this. You can see that little blowout. It's on a weekly, I know, but it's probably on a daily as well. Little wash out of those highs, and then we started making some lower highs uh, and making some lower lows the last few weeks. If we go down to a daily, we'll be able to see that. You can see that little washout there, and then we started making lower highs, but we didn't get too far, and it's been bought up again. So it's definitely getting soaked up by the buyers. It's definitely showing some good signs of setting up. Got my wife creeping around in the background. I'll get her to say hi. All right, where are we? Here we go. Okay, so we've got that little blow. So I'd call that, you get that wash out of those highs. I don't know if there's news that come in there and just pops straight up and through. Um, then we just built some lower highs in, and then we didn't get back too far until we, pushed down below 170, and then we started to hold some high lows. So that's looking really good. If you just take it through, again, to me, that's been contracting in the last, what is it, since probably, is it November? No, that's been probably a good part of most of this year. Really just been contracting in on itself. You can see that, and it's just recently broken out. So on a daily, you really continuation through $1.90 potentially. That could look good. So I'll be keeping an eye on that for sure. It looks good. And that is another. We'll just take that back. You can see that one sort of resistance level is way back here as well. So that is holding. It's holding higher lows here. It looks like it's coming out of contraction here. So it's got ideally everything playing out quite nicely. And remember, on the weekly could have a lot to go on the upside. Let's go back to the weekly. You know, if it breaks up through $1.90, that could easily take up, and that's continuation. That's like an inside continuation, like I think we've discussed in the past. It takes out that 190, which is taken out, you know, this sort of key level through here, gets up through 190.95. Next, you'd think it's going to blow up through $2, and then from there, I mean, there's not much resistance in the way. You know, it could easily get up another 50 cents up to 250, 260, without really too much selling coming into it. So, and the stochastics are in a good spot. It's only that day, I guess, that daily there, so we might get a bit of contraction. We might wash out at 185 if we just go in a bit closer. Wash out that 185 level, which it looks like it's a bit negative today. Wash that out and then bang, and it just remember that it's got a habit of doing it. This stock, you can wash out and then bang straight back up again. So just keep an eye on it. Looks good though. Good spotting there, Clement. You got anything else for us? Anything else, guys? Nothing else? Where are we? That's a good one. I have had a look at this Kathmandu, but I think the only problem for me is, like, again, it's a bit too small to send out alerts on. It doesn't. Maybe the volume picks up when it runs, but no, not too much by the looks of it. But definitely that could kick on. Just wanted to keep an eye on MVP, see what happens today. See if we get buying into the close on that one. Anyway, if there's nothing else, SFR. Linus, it's going all right, isn't it there, Paul? SFR. Sandfire Resources, that's just at a glance, one thing I don't like about this, just the way it's gapped up and then really, so I mean, like I said, you've got to buy it. No, it's not all the time really. It's just been the last few moves higher. It's gapped up and gone up. So unless you just bought it without a setup as such, you're going to get a crappy fill. You might have to wait through all this sort of stuff before it gaps up again and then it's pulled back. But really, you know, if you're buying up those highs, you're going to be underwater for a bit, and it's gapped up again here. So I don't know exactly what's happening there, but it looks like some strong buying either way. I've got 2 million, so, but either way, just looking at, we'll just go over the daily. That weekly honestly looks pretty good, longer term. Yeah, 172, very soon to our setups. Yeah, right, I'll take a look at that in a sec. Just looking at this one, Sandfire, that weekly, I mean, the only thing that gets me is that obviously that you can see just, well, I should actually use that. Is that there? Little extended. It's getting a bit extended up here, which purely could be because it's right up into a resistance zone around 7, and it's worked all the way off, you know, $5. It's a $2 push higher, and it could really still be holding this contraction in here longer term. But really, that's a high low. You know, it's held that high low, say 475 to 5, above that $4 zone. That looks great. You know, you've had this. You can see how. So that's a key level up there, and this is what we've spoken about. You've got to know your anchors, so you don't want to get caught. This is the anchor up; it's pushed up, so we're anchored really down here. There's nothing to say. You've got that contraction; it's taken out some lows, anchor, and that's the anchor on the weekly basis. Had a good leg up, and it really hasn't done too much. It kept washing out, so it could easily just contract in here. It started holding some higher lows in here, but it wasn't getting through the highs too much. You can see it retested it up there, held a higher low, then pushed up. It didn't push up with any significant, you know, force, I guess. So what it's really had to do after just doing that too many times, it pops up through the highs to get some more selling. It's had to do a deeper correction. You can see that pushed down, popped up, found a bit of selling in at $7, and we got that wash down. So really, well, just draw that up. Really, that's your secondary leg down. So you got, I don't know, people call it ABC, whatever you want to call it. You know, a pullback. It's tried to go up again. It's washed out some of these lows. Some more selling's coming, which you generally expect a two-legged move back if it is contraction as well. But see how this is still holding well above that major anchor level. Well, I guess you could call this an anchor on the weekly, but I'm not seeing a significant move up through those highs enough to really warrant that as washing out, because it's got to wash out these buyers that bought it in through here. They're still happy to hold it. Until they're put under a bit of pressure, which they could have been through here, they might be holding this longer term. It is longer term because it's been fair few years, really. So all this in the context, it's pulled back. We've had that the secondary move lower, and then it started to perk up right up into that level again, up towards 7. And that's quite strong. If that was a negative market, you would have expected that you're not going to reach up to that level. You'd expect it to roll over from here and head south. Geez, I'm starting to look like Mr. Squiggle here. Does that make sense, guys? So with this type of move up, that's more conducive of a good strong market. And I would honestly, if I was watching it then, I would have been looking for that higher low to build, which we did, and we got it. We got a bit of a push down here, and then we started holding $5, which is good. This is all on the weekly basis, and we've had a push up to 7. So this, for me, is looking really strong. It's just getting a bit extended up there. So we may blow out the, if we can just draw that in, if that's a resistance level there, we may just blow out and then pull back, have a bit of a contraction, maybe somewhere around 5, and then start holding some high lows in here. And that's what ideally I'd like to see, a bit of a push up from 5, another leg up, and that could take us all the way to 9 to these highs. But either way, I guess what I'm trying to say is that's looking good on the weekly basis anyway. Who popped up that one? John. Yeah, that's looking great on the weekly basis. If we just quickly look at the daily, and you can see that major structure, that's that $5 level holding. It's held in here, 560, so potentially you can get this one, bit of a pullback, it held 560, a bit of a wash out of those lows too, then we started going again. Don't forget it, up here on the weekly, it's getting extended. It's looking a little bit extended on the daily as well, so it could just do this like it has done, pull back up. I'm just talking about the stochastics, a bit of selling comes in, hold a higher low when we come back down, so it could easily do the same thing, pull back, hold a higher low, and then pump up through 7. And on the weekly, that's our wash out of the highs. That's just probably bought in some fresh buying. Maybe pull back and hold another high low and then go. We don't know, but definitely that weekly structure is looking great. I haven't seen any ideal setup for me just yet, but definitely Sandfire one to look at. Look at there, Linus. Oh, what do you say about Linus? That's just been magic from 9 up to 14. In here, I guess what I'll try to draw, I don't see, although it's turned out awesome. It's looked great. There's been some little setups in here, but you had to ride a bit of wash action. It was only up until sort of it started to accelerate a bit, and then we obviously some good news come out, and then popped straight up to 14. Some really good news by the looks of it. That's gone right up into a resistance zone. Previously it's what do we got there? End of 2015, November 2015, when it made those highs up at 14 previously. It's been a good time washing out all these traders. These late buyers even got washed all the way out. Started holding, got down to 5, below 5, popped back up, held a higher low. So ideally, if you're trading off, like we've said many times, trading off higher lows, or for shorts, lower highs, there's your higher low here, and it started holding really. It only really held through here. Once you got up through that level, those higher lows were holding nicely. It's probably on that high, maybe that high, you could have bought just through there. I mean, this is all in hindsight. Then your stop would have had to be, your exit would have been below there, the way I'd trade anyway. And that worked out fine. Potentially another entry was through 8.5, but then you're coming up, you've got this 9 to contend with. So the way I'd be viewing this is getting a bit extended with this move up here. Turned out fine in hindsight, but at the stage I wouldn't have known that. I know I'm coming up on a major resistance level. I'd probably inclined to step aside in this one, but I mean, I know you've missed out on quite a bit. It's gone well. It actually gone awesome. So unless you knew something then, Paul, you didn't share with us. Yeah, you've done well. GNG, let's look at that. Yeah, that's ideally that's a great one too there. So you got this is this is why I think you're doing very, very well there, Clement. I think you've seen some good structure. I think you're understanding it very well. I like what you're coming up with. We've got this is if you're looking at say at this point of view, that's great. I know it's probably that would have been a little bit hard. This ideally would have been an awesome little entry. We just draw that up just in there. This is all in hindsight again. I know that, but if you missed out on that one, you've got this just beautiful, really entry here, and you can see the way it washed out down here, and then it's tried to work its way back down. That's not convincing. This moved down, and so it's only been probably a good part of 5 or 6 days. That type of price action is not convincing. That in a negative for the bears. Sorry, not really convincing for the bears point of view. And that spike down, they got bought up quite hard, and then you push back down into it. Really, compared to that lower $1.50, that's a higher low there. Then you held this zone, and that little pop up there, that pullback, and then you went up through it. Yeah, ideally that was a nice little entry through there. Is that where you said you got it? 182, 172. Yeah, it's probably no, that's good. 172 is good because that there is a great. That means your risk is obviously. I'm hoping. I'm guessing it's just down below there, Clement. Below that major higher low. Ideally, that's great. Just one thing, I guess, with yourself, just to look for is those inside trades. Just treat that type of price action the same as its overall price action. Okay, that's a little higher low in here. You're breaking out of the contraction. That's your contraction low. You just mark it up with your lines. You can see double bottom here, especially when you're working off a double bottom or something. Oh, there you go. I'll take all that back. Awesome entry. Forget what I'm talking about. But anyway, so that's what we're saying is just for anyone else, just that type of inside entry there when you get in context of what's happened here, your double bottom, your higher lows, and that little acceleration higher, then you pull back. You know, here too, don't forget you've had some good selling into the market. It's got not oversold as such, but it's down towards that oversold region. It's holding higher lows. Some in respect to was it 130? That's great. And then you get that another little high low. You can base your risk off that easily. You got your entry at 163. That is, a cracking entry there. I can't say too much more about it. That's a cracking entry. You've got a little entry there. You've got some minor risk if you wanted to put it down below here. Those inside entries are great. I really do think there's something to look for. It doesn't always happen, but when they do happen, yeah, I want to say 182. That's probably, yeah, look, half at 182 is nothing wrong with that. You've got some good, and I think it could easily spike up into there. It looks quite strong. And in context of all that move, just look back on what it's done in the past too. It's been overextended on the upside. Say, even with this breakout through here, it was overextended. This whole price action was overextended at the time. It still got from 170 up to one above two, so that could happen. Could easily happen. It's looking. The last couple of days have been quite strong. That could easily just spike up into 185. That's your next resistance zone. If we get up there, 182 is probably an awesome. Just prior a touch below that resistance, you know that never put, just sell right on the resistance zone. Always just try to, if you're going to sit a limit order in there, if you're not going to watch it, just watch to see how it trades when it's up there and then hit at the market if you think it's weak. If you're just going to put a sell exit in there into the market, good deal cancels, say, and you're going to walk away, just put it a touch below generally because they tend to wash straight up into that zone and you'll get done. Sometimes they fall, like WBC today, $4 highs, sorry, $40 highs, I think it was. 34, I'm dreaming. 34 highs, it's just about there now. It got to 97 and rolled over today. You don't want to get caught if it rolls over big time, then you miss out by a few cents. So I reckon that's a cracker. And then your next, really, that price action, that overall longer term price action suggestion is going to get straight up through 205. So half off, you can really keep your risk down here in the second half. you got a trade that's not going to lose for you, and then you see where it takes you. Just remember looking at the weekly. Is this the one? No, G and G. That was it, wasn't it? Yeah, that looks so. You could easily, this longer term price structure is looking good. It's just the way it's moved down here could get a bit. It could mean that we're making a major lower high, but either way, who cares for you? You've got it in a good price. You could lock in at least a neutral trade, break even trade, but you're giving yourself all the opportunity to take out those highs at 2 to 205 and run up to at least 230 maybe. That looks good there, Clement. Good work. Uh, Paul, LYC, I think Clement for that one. I just wonder if Clement got in it. I think you did trade it, didn't you, Clement? Uh, all right. We'll probably have to call it a day there, guys. It's been just a touch over an hour. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got. I mean, everyone it sounds like you're doing pretty well, guys. Like I said at the start, I probably want to reiterate this because I've seen in the past, from my years in broken industry too, the bulls and the bears come out, and I've known some big bears and some big bulls too in the past, and they've been caught. And I know guys that have been, bearish on markets and spruik it, just to be absolutely whitewashed, a fair few times. Remember, the market takes the path of least resistance, and if everyone's piled in short, what's going to happen when they all have to pile out again? And that's where they can get, you wash them all out, rinse and repeat. It pops back up, has a bit of a pullback. They all pile in short because they're all bearish, and then they get all washed out again. So that's, I guess, what I'm trying to say is just looking at the charts, trade from what you see. ASX, whatever you view it, however you analyze it, it doesn't really matter too much. But stick with what you know and just trade what you see here. I mean, if you're seeing it's looking bullish, which I think that's definitely looking bullish on the weekly at least. Who knows how much more it's got into it, but until we get confirmation this is rolling over, then I'll be buying it. If it looks like it's going sideways, then trade between the range. But either way, try to. I know people say get off the fence, but this is times when you sit on the fence. Try to keep yourself impartial to being bullish news or bearish news, because a lot of times everyone's talking about how bearish it is, and they've been talking this up in the S&P for a long time now. And what does the market do? Just keep heading higher. We've got a big short squeeze the last few days we've looked at, and they've all, a lot of people have been bearish on it. So, they're probably going to turn around in 6 months' time saying, "See, I was right. There's a big pullback." But what do they do for those 6 months? That's my question. If you talked it up and it's gone up, it just keeps going up from there. Are you actually still buying it? Are you selling the market? Are you putting your money where your mouth is? Or you're just talking for the sake of talking, and then coming out later? And a lot of people will build a career off that. Say sell, 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 sell. Nothing happens. Everyone forgets. But when they do call it right, they pump it up. Said, "Look, I told you it was going to." But they've been trying to sell it for the last 10 years. So just be wary of that sort of stuff. And that's why I like to just do your own analysis, stick with what you know, just try to improve yourself, I guess, and try to improve what you see, improve your trading. That's all it's about. And then once your stats are on your side, go for it. Just keep plugging away that way. All right. Enough of that. Like I said, if you liked the video, can you please leave us a like? That'd be much appreciated. Like I said, any comments would be great. More than welcome. And anything that you want to send through to support@tradesetup.com.au, yeah, send it through. And we'll endeavour, like I said, to get back to you. Thanks again for joining us, guys. It's been great. We'll speak to you again on Thursday, stream on Thursday, and I'll try to get a video out tomorrow, in the next couple of days, either way. But yeah, thanks, guys. We'll speak to you soon. Cheers. Bye.